Welcome to our Knowledge 20 Customer Journey series. You'll hear firsthand stories from organizations that are turning to KPMG powered enterprise and ServiceNow to get work done in new ways and apply lessons learned to drive toward the future of work. Join KPMG and Exelon, who will share key insights and lessons learned on how they leveraged a minimum viable product approach to implement over 15 applications across the breadth of a platform for their enterprise organization in less than 9 months.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Customer Journey series with Exelon. My name is Farah Remtula, and I'm a Managing Director in our advisory practice. We're here joined by Michelle Ferrara and Kevin DeLeon, who we have been working closely with since June of last year, and I'm so delighted to have them with us today to help us tell the story about how the simultaneous transformation of numerous business functions and processes using ServiceNow and KPMG powered enterprise has helped them over the last year. Michelle, Kevin, welcome. I'd love for you to begin by having you tell us about your roles at Exelon, and then perhaps you could set the stage for us around some of the primary drivers and objectives for this transformation journey that we've been on together. Michelle, let's start with you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Michelle Ferreira. I'm the IT Vice President of Enterprise-Wide Solutions at Exelon. I've been with the company for about 20 years, and my role is what I'd like to describe as a horizontal and vertical role. So we provide IT services and support to many of our corporate practice areas, such as HR, finance, legal, communications, all of those areas. But we also provide horizontal services across the enterprise. Robotic process automation, integration and middleware, and most recently ServiceNow being one of our enterprise platform offerings that we're running across the enterprise in IT, but also with some of our other business units.
Awesome. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin DeLeon, Senior Manager in Enterprise-Wide Solutions. My role has been primarily the program delivery for ServiceNow, including organizational change management, which we call transformation, architecture, integrations, and design authority.
So Michelle, could you maybe unpack for us some of the primary drivers and objectives of this transformation at Exelon?
Sure. I mean, we probably started with initially what were some very tactical things. We had some aging technologies and suites of tools that we were using in the operations space and IT, our asset databases. But then it became very clear as we started to use the ServiceNow platform that we had a much broader vision around this. So one, most companies start with, a lot of the technology in the IT space when they think of ServiceNow, but at the top and with me as well, our vision was always to use this as more as an enterprise asset. How can we, beyond IT, use this product to enable our other business areas to drive efficiencies and standardizations and enable some of their own process efficiencies as well. Outside of that, once we decided to make a strategic investment in this platform, we were very clear that we wanted to get the most out of that asset. What can we do from a reporting, dashboarding? How can this be a one-stop shop experience for employees receiving certain services? Finally, if I talk more specifically about IT, at our CIO level, we have some branding that we call One Exelon IT. We have a very just diverse organization with multiple operating companies, and of course a corporate holding company. So you would find that many of these teams would have their own various ticketing or different solutions for different needs. So we also looked at it as a platform to unify IT across the set of standards and processes. So that was some of our key objectives.
Great, thank you. So in addition to the IT objectives, I think one of the most remarkable pieces about the Exelon transformation was how you guys were able to really deliver a solution and deliver capabilities across the organization in such a short amount of time. We went through a journey of implementing several modules and applications from ITSM to hardware and software asset management, to many of the modules in IT business management, and beyond IT in reaching out to HR and the risk organizations for GRC. Kevin, maybe you can help us touch upon how you were really able to rally together that support and structure so that you could gain the trust and the momentum for being able to structure that program and implement all these applications at once.
Yeah, thanks, Farah. So early on, in order for the team to get through more of that storming into the performing phases, we held kickoffs, established a lot of our guiding principles of how we were going to operate within the program, and establishing a strategic vision for the program where we were going to go just beyond IT, service management, operation management, and really how we leverage this as an enterprise tool. After the kickoffs, we established some of those visions. We held a several-day wall walk session in which we engaged a number of representation across the enterprise, including our audit functions, HR, IT, and different number of different members from the operating companies that Michelle addressed. Really, that helped us identify what the vision, what the priority, where there were dependencies in establishing some of our foundational data, and how we would address pursuing some of those enterprise solutions.
Thank you, Kevin. Michelle, how did the wall walk really help drive some executive trust and sponsorship as it related to what we wanted to accomplish with the program?
Well, I think the wall walk was certainly a good starting point. It really brought everybody from all the various areas together. And we also had a lot of representation from our executive sponsor for the program to, one, just hopefully align everyone towards a common goal and a vision, but also realize the support and leadership that they had around the program. Of course, it was followed by many other detailed meetings to bring everyone together. And I think also it started to improve the relationship, the partnership, and also give us some confidence around the approach that the system integrator was bringing around delivering an MVP for this platform, and that some of what seemed like really lofty goals at the time were actually very attainable through this approach. So I think it definitely helped to set the stage for how we were going to execute the program in the future.
So with both of your experiences and adventures, if you will, being in IT and having led such complex programs and projects, how did this particular program maybe differ from some of those projects and programs you've led in the past? Michelle, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I've typically done a lot of programs and projects that were very much around IT being an enabler for the business. And certainly ServiceNow and this project is no exception that IT is being an enabler for the business, but this was one where IT was delivering also for IT. So we were the provider and the customer of the solution, which is really interesting because, everybody thinks that, they could deliver the program in a different way. They all have their unique perspectives. And so I think for me personally, it was an interesting experience in having my own peers and colleagues and even some of my employees be the customer of the solution that I was delivering. So that would be one. I would say another key distinguishing factors, because I've done a lot of large programs just like Kevin, many of them are very waterfall in nature, especially when you get into some of these corporate practice areas like your finance, your HR. So this was one of the first, what I would say, enterprise platforms that we really tried to deliver with an agile approach. So we're certainly doing that in other pockets in the organization. So I'm not pretending that our project is the only one who's gone agile, but for an enterprise platform spanning all of our operating companies as well as our business areas, this was a huge endeavor for us and a very big learning curve. But at the end, I think when you look at these SaaS solutions and you're paying in a subscription model, the goal is to really get value out of that solution you're paying for very quickly. And so we were very deliberate about wanting to ensure we did that. And I think this program was a good example of a success of being able to do that.
Kevin, let's talk about your experiences and how we intentionally incorporated transformation into everything that we did, including your title and role on the program. How did that make an impact and make this really stand out from some of the other programs you've led in the past?
Well, as Michelle highlighted, we were shifted to an agile approach for this program. And one of the goals was to have a minimal viable product and making sure that it was actually functioning for our enterprise solution. So really a goal was to have a speed to market. And so we really did want to be deliberate on transforming the organization, not just sticking to a typical organizational change management. So we did try to embed transformation, communication, education, awareness, desire throughout the entire process. Some of the examples that I could highlight would be just different agile ceremonies that we deployed, such as show me's, sprint planning, retrospectives, and really foster that engagement and that collaboration across the enterprise. One of the more interesting aspects that we delivered as part of this program was that it did impact across the organization, across the enterprise. So we had many work teams, and trying to coordinate all those organizations and the communications to them became challenging, and even more so in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we had leveraged various collaboration tools such as Yammer, some micro videos, some of our learning management systems, and we're able to get the communication out to those organizations and across the enterprise very effectively.
That's an awesome reflection. I mean, I think, another remarkable thing that stood out for me was how we were able to engage with such a volume of people across the enterprise. When you're doing so much in parallel, the concept of work teams coming together to form and influence the design and the build enabled us to really, I think, collaboratively probably pull in some 250, if not more, people as a part of this collective program team that we had with KPMG and Exelon. So definitely a remarkable story there in terms of how we could engage and leverage the umbrella of transformation and reach as many people as possible. So Michelle, I want to shift a little bit to you and your perspective on some of the outcomes, right? There was definitely some lofty goals. There was a vision around One Exelon, improving the IT experience. There was focus on seeing how we could leverage the platform strategically as a function across the enterprise. Could you maybe touch on some of the improvements or outcomes that we've seen so far, intended or not, and where you would like to see us go in the future?
Sure. I think obviously there are a lot of common reasons that people pick a platform like ServiceNow. So we've had a lot of the, what I would say, expected outcomes, if for lack of a better word. We've automated a lot of reporting and dashboards that used to be very manual. We've cleaned up a lot of our data around assets and applications and owners. We've now taken processes that used to be disjointed and have them a little bit more orchestrated. So all those common things that you would think in the IT house, we've certainly seen an improvement in. And so that's been a really good win there. But beyond that, I think there are a couple other things. One, we always had hoped that the platform would work beyond IT, but the amount of interest and excitement and attention that we have been getting from other business areas within the company is really probably beyond what we had originally anticipated. We do have people knocking on our door every day, inquiring, trying to learn, or asking about new features and functions that they could get in the platform. Aside from that, on more of the, say, feature and software delivery side, we have been thinking a lot about what does the sustain model around this look like, not just from a technology and software solution perspective, but from how our organization would interact together. So outside of the project and program delivery, we have been leveraging KPMG as well to help us with what we call an operating model around service management, and figuring out how do we operate with each other in IT, but also with other business areas as we move forward with this platform as an enabler for a lot of our enterprise processes. And finally, I think Kevin touched on it earlier, none of us could have ever anticipated being in the current situation that we're in with COVID. The remote workforce, the need to proliferate information to multiple channels, job aids, information. So the one thing I will say is, Farah had alluded to earlier, our very aggressive timeline. And hindsight's 2020. Had we not really stuck with that aggressive timeline, we would have not had the core platform and some of the features in place that we're using now to actually enable and maybe extend some of our functionality around COVID response for both human resources, IT, and other areas. So that was an unintended outcome, but a positive of us mobilizing around this platform the way that we did.
Kevin, would you have anything else to share in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, we started off with a foundation first type of approach. And I think we had a lot of data certification and ensuring that data quality was there on the onset. And I think what that really allowed us to do was garner more trust in our data and our processes, and really allow for, once we had that data certified and validated, we can reuse and leverage that data across the enterprise in different fashions. We're able to take manual processes across HR, GRC, and our audit functions, and really started enabling those as services with workflows. So as we started with a foundation first, it really quickly expanded. And given the fact that we are in the pandemic, as Michelle addressed, that we're able to add services more rapidly to the enterprise.
So I guess, Farah, I'd have a question for you. It seems like we just started working together just yesterday, but you have been with us for a while now. And I also recognize that one of the reasons we selected KPMG was due to your experience with so many other clients in the industry. So I guess I would like to understand, now that you've been with us for a while on this journey, if you have any feedback or major learnings that you've realized by working with Exelon that you would like to share about this program, or even the future model that we're going to go embark upon.
Sure. Thank you, Michelle. I think first and foremost, the biggest benefit of this entire experience has definitely been, that I valued, has definitely been around the true client and partner relationship. What I loved from the onset that all of you emphasized when we walked in through that door is that we want it to be a badgeless team. And in emphasizing that and keeping that at the root of what we did, I think really helped us establish strong relationships. It took away who you worked for out of the room and focused everybody on the outcome that we wanted to achieve together. And so I think was incredibly inspiring, and we're very grateful for. And I personally would love to take that to all of our clients, where we also are saying, hey, let's walk into this room, let's do this kickoff, and remember that our badges have been checked in at the door. And that really resonated for me. And continuing down that path, I think the biggest lessons learned here is definitely around amplification, right? Amplifying your goals, amplifying and continuously reinforcing that MVP approach, finding different ways and mediums to communicate a message and what you want to do. And I think Exelon did a great job of that. You challenged us, and as much as we challenged you on the MVP approach, you helped challenge us to say, hey, we got to say this 6 different ways, 6 different times, and make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish as a team. And I think that was wonderful. And lastly, I think the biggest thing that was done so well at Exelon, and that we definitely appreciated, was that view and that intensity on transformation, right? So putting OCM and organizational change management at the forefront really helped us engage with and reach all aspects of the business. So with that, I'd really like to thank both of you for spending so much time with us today, sharing your insights on all of this. I think we've walked away with some great lessons on how we can, start our journey with a wall walk that engages all aspects of the business, rallying them around a vision, gaining their trust, having their input into how teams can accomplish so much in so little time. Starting with a data-first approach, focusing on that foundation, establishing something so strong, and being courageous as to say, we're going to invest the time in getting our data right, and also invest the time in making sure everybody certifies it. And I think that really resonated because it helped set us up for success as we grew and expanded on the platform. Talking about executive sponsorship and building relationships and trust, focusing on an MVP approach. However, I wanted to ask one more question to you both. If there was one thing, one lesson, one reflection or piece of guidance that our listeners can take away from this discussion today, what would that be for you? Kevin, let's start with you.
Well, thanks. It's difficult to take away with just one lesson learned. I will try to be brief with it. But thanks for the question, and I do hope that folks did enjoy this. I would say is one major lesson learned is don't underestimate the demand. We started off with a vision and a strategic roadmap. We quickly learned that there were people coming out of the woodworks for demand and based off of the capabilities that we were already able to deliver. So I would say ensure that you have room for capacity for growth and expansion. Make sure you have the resources and capabilities to be able to deliver that in rapid fashion, but don't underestimate the demand for the system.
I think that was a really good one, by the way, Kevin, because I think, Farah, you said this was like go big or go home. We really did pack a lot in to a short time frame. I think in order to be successful doing that, I would say the biggest lesson is to really be open that one, some of these system integrators as well as ServiceNow as the vendor have done this elsewhere. And a lot of the stuff that comes either out of the box or with your accelerated solutions, powered IT, things like that, are based and built upon, experiences you've had with other vendors. And we like to start with our processes internally and say, please make this tool work how we do it now. And I think the real big shift that made us be more successful once we got there, it took some time, was to say, why can't we use it the way that it's kind of designed now? And if there's truly, and there will be true exceptions where you need a configuration or something different, but I think that enabled us to a more rapid success and also kept us in a more sustained model where we have to take on future upgrades and future releases. And so it was a culture shift for us. So the biggest lesson, if I was sharing this with other folks, would be open to trying to use what's already there and then determining really what you must have to run your business versus trying to force feed what I would call legacy processes that have adopted over decades into a product. And so that was a big lesson. I think the other, if I talk more about the people side of it, is I look back and I'm like, when you mentioned the badge list thing, I'm amazed at even how much we all accomplished together. So I always would say is, some people would say that was a little bit, you took on too much, but don't go in wanting less. So I actually think going in wanting more, and maybe you have to back off a little bit, and there were some stressful times, actually does get you the value you're looking for out of this platform a lot faster. So my take on this is being aggressive with reasonable, expectations is okay. Because we could have went in and really just kind of done even less than we thought we could have achieved in this period of time had we started with sort of a negative outlook. So I think remaining positive that you can accomplish a lot in a short period of time with our partners and with this platform is a takeaway for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And certainly I feel like we went big and we're not ready to go home. We have a long journey ahead of us and it's an exciting one. And again, we really value and thank you for your partnership. And to our listeners, hopefully you have gained some valuable insights and are enjoying the Knowledge 20 digital experience. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to bringing you additional insights, lessons learned, and much more as we continue the ServiceNow Knowledge 20 digital experience. In the meantime, learn more by visiting us at kpmg.us/K20digital.